How to lose weight. Okay, I lost about 7 stone and people have asked me how to do it. So I've done this video and it's on YouTube, and from now on I'll just say, look at this video. So number one is kind of understanding a little bit about the body. I did this research for myself. It really helped me. Number one, why do we get fat? Now, your body is an incredibly complex chemical factory. And in this video, I'm a physics teacher. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a biochemist, but I have a better understanding of how my body works. And that helped me a great deal when I lost a lot of weight. So imagine your house has a fridge and a freezer. And every day we buy food and we put it in the fridge. And if we don't use it, then we don't throw it away. It goes in the freezer. And then the freezer is there. If we run out of food, if the fridge is empty, then there's food in the freezer and we'll be okay and we won't starve. Okay. Now, your body's a bit like that. You've got the fridge is food stored in your blood and in your muscles, and that's kind of for everyday use. And then you have the freezer, which is fat, which is stored in fat cells. So basically, if you put more food in your gob than you need, then your body will store it in the freezer. It will store it as fat in fat cells. Okay, and it's a very, very clever system, and it's kept us alive, and evolution has been going on for millions of years, and it works very well. And it's only up until about 5,000 years ago. We all used to be hunter-gatherers. Kind of food was scarce. We'd go out there in the wherever looking for food. We'd get it every now and then. There wouldn't be a constant supply of food. And basically our body would store food, and then when we needed it, when we couldn't find food, we'd have food in the freezer. The problem is now that basically our society, the way that we live, has overtaken our evolution. And in most parts of the world, there's loads and loads of food around, in most parts of the world, that is. And many of us never actually use the food in the freezer, and the food in the freezer just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Okay. Now, very important, I believe, if you are obese, it is not your fault. By the way, these videos are for people who are obese. Okay, find out what your BMI is, and your BMI will tell you if you are obese or not. I believe that if you are obese, it is not your fault. You live in an environment where you're surrounded by temptation. There's constantly ads on the telly tempting you to buy all kinds of rubbish food. And so much of the advice you are given is wrong, even by doctors. A lot of doctors give good advice. A lot of doctors don't give very good advice. It's simply wrong when it comes to losing weight. And you've been brought up in an environment where it was inevitable that you would become obese. Okay, I'll talk a bit more about that later. Now, you can turn it around if you understand why you're obese, if you take responsibility for your weight. You know, it wasn't your fault, but you can do something about it. So it has become your responsibility. And if you do what needs to be done to change your eating habits, it's all about changing your eating habits. Second part, how to lose weight. A bit more information, a bit more science. Now, before I give you a list of things to do to lose weight, let's understand this fridge freezer system a little bit better. So basically, if you eat less and you do a bit of exercise, then it's a good idea, but it's a bit more complicated than that. I mean, remember the two fridges, the fridge and the freezer. Now, it's a bit more complicated. The freezer has a lock on its door because the food in there is very, very valuable. It's for emergencies only. And if we want to put food in, or we want to take food out really, then there is a lock on the door and we need a key to get in there. And that key is a hormone called insulin, which I'm sure you've heard of. In our bodies, the key is a chemical messenger called insulin. And it's produced in the pancreas, which is near the stomach. And basically what insulin does is it controls the amount of glucose in your blood. So the pancreas produces insulin, and if there's too much glucose in your blood, then it tells your liver to change that glucose into fat, and then the fat is stored in fat cells. So basically, if you want to lose weight, we don't want a lot of insulin in your blood. Now, look at this graph here. There are 3 types of food: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. If you remember your GCSE biology, a food is something that you get energy from, and these are the 3 types of food. Now, when you eat these foods, this is what happens to your blood glucose. So carbohydrates, if you eat carbohydrates, lots and lots of blood glucose for a couple of hours. If you eat protein or fat, then it's a much shallower hump. Okay, it lasts a lot longer. So the question is, big quiz question, what type of food will make you fat? What type of food is going to get the insulin flowing, do you think? And it's pretty obvious it's going to be carbohydrates. There is a big myth, there's a big misunderstanding. Eating fat doesn't make you fat. Okay, eating carbs does. I'm not saying eating lots of fat is particularly good from you, but if we're talking about losing weight, it's actually better to get your energy from your calories from fat than it is from carbohydrates. Okay, because of its effect on your insulin levels and your blood glucose levels. Okay, one of the things I did was I changed from I started eating a lot more butter, and now I eat an awful lot of butter every day. Okay, and I believe it doesn't make, well, I'm not fat, so it doesn't make you fat. There you go. What are carbohydrates? Well, a lot of people have a lot of these every day. Sugar, things with wheat, alcohol, pasta, which is of course made of wheat, potatoes, rice. These are all carbohydrates. Does your body need them? And the answer is no. If you've got plenty of food in the freezer, then no, you don't need to be putting all this stuff. I mean, it's very nice. I like a bag of chips as well, but you don't need them. Can you live without them? Actually, yes, you can. You know, start taking them in moderation, or just cut them. If you cut them out completely, you're not going to die, honestly. Okay, can you live without them? Yes. I said before, it's all about eating habits. It's breaking bad habits. How to lose weight? Why is it hard to lose weight? Well, if you understand this, it should actually help. And it is because sugar is addictive. Okay, sugar is toxic, it is nasty, it is very addictive. They've done experiments with mice, and they have found that it's actually more addictive than heroin. Mice prefer sugar to heroin. When blood sugar levels rise, this triggers dopamine, and this is a chemical which works on your brain, and it controls the parts of the brain that control how we feel pleasure. If you're a drug addict or a gambling addict or just about any other type of addict, it's all to do with dopamine, this neurotransmitter. Many of us, an awful lot of people, are addicted to sugar, and if you want to lose weight, you have to break that addiction. You have to start living without sugar. Very difficult, because from a very early age, you know, our addiction to sugar is encouraged from what we see on the telly, because basically our parents and your grandparents, they didn't know much better. You know, you give kids sweets, don't you? We have become addicted to sugar. This is a fantastic book. This guy here, Robert Lustig, some very, very good YouTube clips as well by Robert Lustig. If you're taking this seriously, check out a few of his YouTube clips, his TED Talks, very good. Fructose is the simplest form of sugar. Other types of food need to be broken down into fructose before they can be converted into fat. Okay, now fruit contains a lot of good things, a lot of vitamins and minerals and things, but it also contains a lot of fructose, and you should eat it in moderation. If you want to lose weight, now I'm saying to you, very controversial, don't eat loads and loads of fruit. The worst thing you can do is drink fruit juice, because then you don't even get the fibre. The fibre slows down the absorption of the fructose in your gut. Okay, some people think that if they drink gallons of this stuff, it's very, very good for them, but then they can't understand why they're basically fat. And it's fruit juice. You've got to drink it in moderation, fruit juice. In fact, just eat an orange, never mind the juice. This is high fructose corn syrup. There's an awful lot of stuff that we buy in the supermarket which has got this in it, high fructose corn syrup. And they put it in so many different things. Why? Because it's very, very cheap, and it makes food sweeter. It makes us addicted to them. Things like breakfast cereals have a lot of this stuff in it. It makes them addictive. And there's also political reasons. They used to give it to animals, but they found out that it wasn't particularly good for them. So they put it in the foods. They hide it in the foods that we eat. High fructose corn syrup. Look out for it. It's bad. Okay. This is from a website. It was a list of things which contain high fructose corn syrup. Pause the video and have a read, and it's a bit frightening, really. Next bit, how to lose weight. Some simple rules to shed the pounds. Okay, this is kind of the habits that I got into, which really, really helped me. Some simple rules to shed the pounds. Now, avoid carbohydrates, particularly sugar. Okay, you don't need them. We're talking biscuits and cakes, you know, things which contain sugar, chocolate and sweets. But also those other carbs as well. Really, really cut back on them. I mean, you can do without them. Remember that alcohol is a carbohydrate. And here's a quiz question for you. Why is that called a beer belly? Don't eat more than 3 meals a day. Okay, 2 is actually better. And no snacks. It might seem that that's a very drastic thing, but honestly, you get used to it. It becomes a way of life. And after a while, 3 meals a day is enough. It's more than enough. Give your body a chance to go into ketosis. Now, ketosis is when you start taking food out of the freezer. In other words, when you're actually losing weight. If you haven't put food in your mouth for a while, then your body needs food. It gets it out of the freezer. You start burning off some of that fat. Okay, this is when the glucose in your blood is running out and you start converting fat into glucose. I found a very good tip is that finish your last meal of the day before 6 p.m. and then you'll have maybe 12-13 hours before you don't eat. When you wake up in the morning, you'll be in ketosis. You'll be burning fat. 2 days a week. Don't eat more than 600 calories. And I know some of you are going to recognize what I'm on about here. If you want to lose weight, you should really start counting calories. Okay, the food that you put in your mouth, how many calories are you putting in there? There's lots and lots of wonderful vegetables, you know, fresh vegetables. You can fill up, you can eat loads and loads of them. Or for 600 calories, you could have a couple of donuts. This bloke is another hero of mine, Dr. Michael Mosley. He's got his own book as well. He came up with this thing called the 5-2 diet, 2 days a week, 600 calories. There's a very, very good Horizon documentary. You'll find it on the internet somewhere. And Eat Fast and Live Longer, it's called. And it really, really helped me when I started losing weight. Weigh yourself every morning. Weigh yourself. Get out of bed, go to the loo and weigh yourself. Get a decent set of scales and keep a record of it. You know, do a spreadsheet. And this really, really helped me. Every time you look at the scales in the morning, you'll say, well done. And it'll be, well, probably a big encouragement. After a couple of months, people will start noticing, actually, that you're losing big weight. But keeping a spreadsheet is a very, very good feedback loop, very positive feedback loop that you can get into. By the way, I started at 145, I got down to 90 eventually. Exercise is good for you, but it's not the big answer. Okay, if you just sat on a chair all day, you're actually burning an awful lot of calories. If you do lots and lots of exercise, at the end of it, you feel hungry. And a lot of people go to the gym and then go straight to the pub. You know, it makes you feel very hungry. So many people use this as an excuse for allowing themselves to indulge. And also, if you are obese, then something like jogging isn't the best thing you can do. You're putting a lot of stress on your joints, on your knees. Something like swimming, go swimming a few times a week is much, much better. Walking's good as well. I go for a nice walk every day, at least half an hour. So hopefully you understand, if you've been listening, if you've been taking notes, why you're overweight a bit better now. And if you follow the advice I've given you, then you should start losing weight. I don't think I've suggested anything dangerous. If you've got any other health issues, if you're worried, then have a chat with your doctor first. And as I said before, this video is for people who are obese. Okay, I know that a lot of people have a problem with being underweight. This video is not for them. This is for obese people, as I was very, very obese. Remember that if you are overweight, it is not your fault, but nobody can help you except yourself unless you do something very, very drastic and have somebody cut you open and, you know, sew your stomach so that it's the size of a golf ball, and then you'll never enjoy a nice, big, tasty meal ever again. So good luck, and I hope this has helped you. I'm not making any money for it. It certainly helped me, and good luck again.